2014, the first encounter. It was a typical Wednesday in high school, and I had just gone to sleep. In the middle of the night, I found myself in a large, dark room with a grandfather clock and a large mirror. Although it was December, the room was scorching hot, and my skin felt dry and itchy. "Come to the mirror, child," came a man's voice. Standing next to me in my reflection was an old but tall man with large black eyes. "Who are you?" I asked, frozen in fear and confused. "Where am I? What is happening?" "Be quiet, Cody, and listen to what I'm going to say," the old man replied in a quiet voice. "My name is Ferulci, and I'm here to guide you. Tomorrow, you will be in grave danger. However, I will keep you safe, and in return, you will do as I say. When you are ready to see me again, look in the mirror before you go to bed and say my name. You will see me in your sleep that night, and I will tell you what to do." Before I could talk back to ask any questions, my alarm clock went off and I had to get up for school. That day at school was a tragedy that would change my life forever. Every American teenager's worst nightmare. A mass shooting. The shooter had caused so many deaths and injuries, all in the span of 30 minutes, before the cops arrived to the scene. I didn't see any of this though, because right after my bus picked me up, the engine randomly broke down in the middle of traffic. By the time we got to the high school campus, the shooter was already being handcuffed and taken away by police. That night, I lay in bed sobbing over my lost classmates. I was so preoccupied with the shooting that I didn't even think about the weird man in the dream, or what he said. I didn't believe in the supernatural at that age, so the idea never occurred to me that I should try to contact him like he said. I didn't believe in Ferulci until I saw him again. 2016, the second encounter. I was 17 at this time, and my life was a mess. My mother had become so paranoid after the shooting that she never let either of us leave the house. She found an online sales position for herself and a cyber school for me. All of our groceries were delivered to the house, and the only sunshine I ever got was picking them up off the porch. I was miserable all the time. I mean, how could I not be? My whole high school experience was ruined. I wanted to try and go through the grieving process in a healthy manner so I could move on with my life. But that was impossible, when every day I had to be reminded of it. One day, I decided that I had enough. I was going to run away. I started making money by writing English and history essays for my old high school classmates. I was able to charge $30 a paper. By the end of 11th grade, I had around $5,000 saved up from Cash App transactions, which I decided was enough to sneak away. I ordered a cab to a nearby city and found a job and an apartment. My plan was to work for a while until I was financially stable enough to live on my own. Then I would contact my mother again. She would see that I was doing fine on my own. My plan backfired though, when my mom tried to kill herself one night in December because she thought I was dead. I stood over her unconscious body in St. Peter's Hospital, sobbing, begging her to recover and wake up. That night, while lying in bed, Ferulci came back to me in an alcohol-induced nightmare. It was the same dark, hot room as before, with Ferulci looking the same as the first time. "You," I shouted in astonishment. "I've seen you before. You're the man from my dream." "They're not dreams, Cody. When are you going to realize that?" "Please. You helped me the first time. Please don't let me lose my mother. You never upheld your end of the bargain, remember? I don't work for free. Why should I help you this time, when I was never thanked properly the first time? Please, I promise you, I'll do anything. Anything. Just let my mom recover. I don't want her to die. Anything? Ferulci's eyes lit up at this, and suddenly the dream ended. I woke up in my bed to a text message from my mother saying, "Hey Cody, I am so sorry about this, baby. The doctors say I'm going to be alright though." Later that night, I tried to contact Ferulci to find out what he wanted me to do for him. I tried saying his name in the mirror before bed, but it didn't work. I just assumed he would come to me when he needed me. 2019. The third encounter. My life has settled down for the most part since the second encounter. My mom got the therapy she needed, and I was able to graduate high school and start my electrician's license. I had friends again, and a normal job, and a decent amount of money. Things seemed perfect from the outside. However, every night I was stricken with anxiety, worried about what I had agreed to. I tried contacting Ferulci every night through the mirror, but he never responded. Finally, in August of 2019, I saw him again. I had been out drinking with some friends when I passed out in my bed, unconscious. "Ferulci, where have you been?" I shouted upon seeing him in the mirror in the dark room. "I've been trying to reach you for nearly 3 years. What do you want me to do for your favor?" Ferulci smiled for the first time since I had met him. His eyes seemed to grow bigger as he smiled, so big they took up most of his face. "Don't worry, boy. You're already getting started. I'll come to you again for more instructions." Before I could ask any questions, I woke up sitting at my desk with my laptop opened. I had gone to bed last night at 11, but it was now 3 in the afternoon. How long had I been awake for? I looked at my computer's search history and saw that around 1 p.m. I had planned a 5-day trip to China from October 3rd to the 8th. The hotel and airplane tickets were already paid for by various debit card accounts that were not mine. In front of my computer was a printed out copy of a Chinese bus schedule around the hotel I had booked, with certain routes circled. Some of the bus routes went into major cities, but some had me going into forests. Okay, I guess Ferulci wanted me to run him favors on the other side of the world. Kind of weird, but I could do it. My father was Chinese, and before he died, he taught me fluent Mandarin. 2019. The fourth encounter. The night I had arrived in China, Ferulci contacted me again in my sleep. However, he looked different this time. His eyes had gotten bigger, and I didn't need to look in a mirror to see him. He was right there in front of me, patiently waiting. "Finally, I've been waiting for you," I shouted. "Ferulci, I am so confused. What do you want me to do here? I have the bus routes written down, but that's about it. And whose card information did you use?" "Don't worry, Cody," he said. "The cards belong to rich men who won't notice a couple $1,000s missing. As for the trip, you let me handle that. I've done everything myself." "What do you mean you've done everything? We just got here." But as soon as I said it, everything went black. "Sir, I brought you some tea." I woke up to the sound of the airplane stewardess' voice. "I heard you coughing and sneezing, so I figured you could use some," she said. I looked around at my surroundings and checked my watch. It was October 8th already, and I was on my flight back to America. Ferulci had control of my body for a whole week, and I had no idea what he did with it. Frankly, I didn't want to know. 2021, the final encounter. It wasn't until the pandemic hit that it really began to dawn on me what had happened. I kept studying the maps that Ferulci printed, Google searching the places on them. The first place I went was Wuhan, where the pandemic started. The other places were all very crowded cities across China. Ferulci found out that COVID existed before any of the scientists, and he had me spread it as quickly as possible. I saw Ferulci in my bedroom mirror one night. I guess he had grown so powerful that he didn't need to visit me in my dreams anymore. "How could you do this? You killed all those people," I shouted at the glass. "You saved me and my mother. I thought you were my guardian angel." Ferulci's smile looked bigger and more unnatural in the real world. I could swear he had more teeth than he was supposed to. "I didn't save anything, stupid boy. I don't have the power to do that. My only powers are to see what happens everywhere in the world, and to enter people's bodies with their permission." In my anger and frustration, I punched the glass, which seemed to amuse Ferulci, as he watched the blood trickle down my knuckles. "How come my mother and I are both alive then? How do you explain that? You're alive because your idiot bus driver never checked the engine, or changed the oil the night before the shooting. I saw there was no way that bus was going to make it to the school the next day." At first, I was pretty sad. Poor kid wouldn't have enough people to shoot at. But then I realized, this was a good chance to trick somebody. You were the first stop on that bus, so I figured you'd be best. And your mother's still alive because she didn't take enough pills to have any permanent damage. I didn't save her. I just overheard a nurse saying she was going to be okay. I never performed any miracles. I just let you think I did. What he was saying made sense, but I still refused to believe it. This was supposed to be my guardian angel, who saved me and my mother's lives. And now, it was all a lie. "So, what are you then?" I shouted. "Can I show you?" Ferulci asked. "Yes." Suddenly, my hand rose on its own, making a fist. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. The knuckles pressed against an unbroken part of the mirror, and I started writing with my own blood. The first thing it wrote was Ferulci, and then it unscrambled the letters. Lucifer.